Have you ever felt like there's a secret language happening all around you? You know, in the logos you see, the colors of a brand, even just the layout of your phone's screen. Well, spoiler alert, there totally is. And today, we're going to learn how to read it. Okay, let's dive right in.
Take a look at this. McDonald's didn't just wake up one morning and decide they liked green more than red. No way. This was a super calculated message. That classic red and yellow, it was designed to scream speed and even trigger your appetite. The switch to green was a deliberate move to plug into a whole new set of ideas. Eco-friendly, natural, maybe even a little bit healthier. This wasn't just a paint job, it was a semiotic power play.
And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. How does this even happen? How do inanimate objects and simple colors manage to communicate these really complex ideas to us? Well, what we're about to get into is the key. It's like the decoder ring for all those hidden messages embedded in our world.
The formal name for this field, this study of the hidden language, is called semiotics, and it's the tool we can use to start making sense of all these silent conversations that are happening around us all the time.
So, what is it exactly? Well, semiotics is the study of signs and how they create meaning. But the really important part, the thing to focus on here, is that little word, how. Semiotics isn't a treasure hunt for the one true meaning of something. Instead, it's about analyzing the machinery, the actual process of how a word or an image or an object comes to mean anything at all.
And, this idea isn't even new. It actually has roots way back in ancient Greek medicine. See, doctors saw a symptom, like a fever, not as the illness itself, but as a visible sign of some unseen condition inside the body. And that makes semiotics, at its core, a kind of diagnostic art. It trains us to look at the symptoms of a culture, its ads, its movies, its fashions, to diagnose the beliefs and ideas running underneath.
So then, in the early 20th century, this diagnostic art got formalized by two thinkers working on opposite sides of the Atlantic, and they gave us two different blueprints, two different ways of understanding how meaning actually works. On one side, you've got the Swiss linguist Ferdinand de Saussure. For him, meaning was all about a closed, structured system, kind of like the grammar of a language. But then, on the other side, you have the American philosopher Charles Sanders Peirce, who saw meaning as this dynamic, open-ended, constant process. So let's break down their models.
Saussure gave us this really simple but incredibly powerful two-part model. He said every sign has two sides, just like a coin. First, there's the signifier. That's the physical part, like the sound of the word tree or the letters T-R-E-E you see on the screen. Then there's the signified, and that's the mental concept, the picture of a tree that just popped into your head. Now, here is the absolute game changer from Saussure. The link between those two parts is completely, totally arbitrary. There's nothing naturally tree-like about the letters T-R-E-E. We know this is true because in German it's Baum, in Latin it's Arbor. The meaning only exists because we as a culture have all agreed to connect that specific signifier to that specific concept. It's all based on social convention. Okay, so let's jump over to Peirce and see how he builds on this. He proposed a three-part model. First, you've got the representamen, which is just the sign itself. Let's say you see some smoke. Second, you have the object, the actual thing the sign refers to, so the fire. But here's the brilliant third piece he adds, the interpretant. This is the meaning that's created inside your mind, the idea of danger or, hey, something's burning. And this is where Peirce's theory gets really wild and dynamic. That interpretant, that idea of danger, it doesn't just stop there. It becomes a new sign in your mind, which then triggers another thought, which triggers another, and on in this endless chain reaction he called unlimited semiosis. For Peirce, meaning is never static. It's always this constant flowing process. Okay, so for anyone who wants to pause and really get into the weeds, this slide is a great summary. You can see Saussure's focus on the closed system versus Peirce's on the open-ended process. But maybe the biggest contribution from Peirce was his breakdown of how signs relate to the things they represent. Let's look at his three main types. First up, we have the icon. This one is the easiest to get. An icon works because it physically resembles the thing it stands for. The camera icon on your phone looks like a camera. A portrait painting looks like a person. Super simple. Next up is the index. Now, an index has a direct physical connection to its object. It kind of points to it. Smoke is an index of fire because fire literally causes smoke. A footprint in the sand is an index of a person because a person's foot caused it.
Think of it like a clue or a piece of evidence. And finally, we have the symbol. This is where the connection to the object is based purely on a learned rule or a cultural agreement. This loops us right back to Saussure's big idea. Words are the best example, but so are traffic lights or national flags. There's nothing inherently American about a pattern of stars and stripes. That meaning is something we've all learned and agreed upon.
Okay, theory time is over. We have Saussure's system, we have Peirce's process. Now for the really fun part. Let's put this decoder ring to work and actually see how it helps us read the world around us. The French thinker Roland Barthes was an absolute master at this. He famously analyzed this magazine cover. Now, on the surface, it's just a picture of a black soldier saluting a French flag. Simple enough. But Barthes argued this image creates a myth. It takes that literal image and attaches a second powerful ideological meaning, the idea of a happy, unified French empire, which very conveniently masks the much harsher realities of colonialism. Semiotics lets us see that hidden message. We can do this with movies, too. In Hitchcock's classic Vertigo, all those spiral motifs you see are symbols of the main character's spiraling obsession. The color green is used as a symbol for ghosts and deception every single time. And those dizzying, distorted camera angles, they're an index, a direct result of the character's vertigo, putting us right inside his disoriented mind.
And what's really fascinating is how groups can actually fight back using signs. Back in the 70s, punk culture took the humble safety pin, a sign that meant mending, repair, domestic stuff, and they turned it into a powerful symbol of anarchy and social rupture. This process, called bricolage, is like a form of semiotic guerrilla warfare, hijacking a sign's meaning to send a totally new and rebellious message. Now, you might be thinking, okay, this is cool, but it's all just 20th century cultural analysis. But nope. Semiotics is a vital framework for understanding what's happening right now and what's coming next, from the building blocks of life itself all the way to artificial intelligence.
Check this out. On one hand, you've got biosemiotics, which studies sign processes in all living things. Get this. A tick's entire reality is built from just 3 signs: the smell of a mammal, the heat of its blood, and the texture of its hair. That's its whole world. At the same time, you've got computational semiotics, which is applying these same models to AI to help large language models develop a deeper, more logical understanding of how stories work. So the real takeaway here is that once you start looking, you realize semiotics is absolutely everywhere. It's in the design of the phone icons you understand without a single word of text. It's in the structure of the social media feeds you scroll through. It's the engine behind every single successful brand. And right now, we are actively trying to teach our most advanced machines how to speak this silent language.
Learning semiotics is honestly like getting a new pair of glasses for your brain. The world, which might have once seemed like just a bunch of random objects and images, suddenly snaps into focus as this complex, fascinating web of messages and meanings. So my question for you is this. Now that you have the decoder ring, what are you going to see differently?